So you guys know that a high voltage can hurt you, but today we're going to talk about why. So let's imagine we have some source of charges. So in a battery, for example, we have a little rod on the inside, and that little rod has got lots and lots of electrons on it. So they really don't want to be there, they want to get away. And then around the outside of the battery, there's a section that doesn't have any electrons on it. Those have like positive charges on it. And all these electrons want to get from here over to there. So if you connect your battery to a circuit, for example, you might connect it to a light bulb, and the electrons don't want to be here, so they will leave. They will flow through the wire and make the light bulb light. And so this is what we call a circuit. But this thing right here, this battery, we say it has a certain voltage. So we're going to talk about what that voltage means. So basically you can think of voltage as the push on the electrons. So if you have a very high voltage, that means the electrons do not want to be there. They want to get out of there. That's like having really high pressure water. It's very hard to contain them, and they want to leave so badly. They don't want to be here at all. There's so much pressure pushing them that they might even go through your fingers and shock you. So that's what we mean by a high voltage. And a low voltage means that they don't really have that much pressure pushing them. So if there's a nice fat wire to flow through, they'll flow through there, but they won't jump through your fingers. And so high voltages are dangerous and low voltages aren't very dangerous. But what is voltage? Well, you could think of all of these charges as storing energy. So we've talked about energy before, and the energy is how much work it can do. And so there's energy stored in there. And so the voltage is actually defined as the energy that is stored divided by the charge that it's stored in. So voltage is defined as energy over charge, and that's how we're going to calculate it. But if you're asking what does it actually mean, how can I think about it, you can think about it as like the pressure or the push on the electrons. So here's the equation we're going to use, and you can put this in your toolbox. The voltage equals the energy divided by the charge. So let's write down what these mean. V, of course, is the voltage, and we measure voltage in volts. E is the energy, and just like we've always done all year, we measure the energy in joules. And Q is the charge. It's how many electrons there are, and we measure that in a funny unit called a coulomb, which is just a whole bunch of electrons. Okay? So put this in your toolbox. We're going to use that to solve the equation. So you can pause the video here while you write that down if you want. So let's do an example calculation. Let's suppose I have a car battery, and in my car battery, so my car battery looks something like this. My car battery holds a total of 12,000 joules of energy. Okay? And the charge that that energy is stored in is 1,000 coulombs. So what is the voltage of my car battery? So to find the voltage, we have to take the energy divided by the charge. The energy is how many joules there are, and so that is 12,000 joules, divided by the charge, which is 1,000 coulombs. So here's my charge, 1,000 coulombs, and 12,000 divided by 1,000 is 12 joules per coulomb, or 12 joules of energy for every coulomb of charge, which is what we call a volt. So my car battery has a voltage of 12 volts. Okay? So we're going to solve some problems finding the voltage of various things. And to find the voltage, you just take the energy divided by the charge. Now, to give you a little bit of help later on, it might help to know a couple of other things. So when we solve this equation, we know the voltage is equal to the energy divided by the charge. I could, so that's one form of the equation, and that's the common form we're going to use. But I could cross multiply. I could put V over 1. I could write V over 1 equals E over Q and cross multiply. And that's going to give me the voltage times the charge tells me the energy. So if I have the voltage and I have the charge, I can use this form to find the energy. So to just keep things straight, we'll call this our main form, and then I'll call this the form of the equation that's solved for E. And then the last form is, it's a little bit tricky, but if I take this one right here and I divide both sides by V, I'll get that the charge, Q, is actually equal to the energy divided by the voltage. So that's another form of the equation. So this is the main form right here. This is the form we're going to use for the problems. But if we have to solve this to find, for example, the energy, you could take the energy as V times Q. Or if you needed the charge, you could take E over V. Okay? So make sure you've got this equation here in your notes. This big equation right here. It's a big important idea. And then we're going to solve some problems on the homework with this. So you're going to log on to the online assignment and do the homework problems.